Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and today I'm just be officially updating you on some more latest news. So there's lots to negotiate on this current video today. According to David Einstein, of course, he's a reliable journalist. He reportedly says he has been told by all the parties that Manchester United are expected to sign James Maddison within the next year. So we could sign him in January, or where we could sign him next summer. Probably next summer is more probable than January. But I think James Maddison now is actually one of our main priority targets. We have got quite a lot of players on our agenda. Who we could go in for in January. We probably will go in for some next summer. But like I recently mentioned, I think we'll probably do the vast majority of our transfer business next summer, and we will look to sign one or two players in January, because obviously we are all aware that further more investment is needed in the squad. I do credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, in certain aspects in that. He did recommend 3 good players to the squad during the summer. We spent nearly £150 million on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka, and of course on Harry Maguire, and we have seen glimpses of what good signings they've proven to be so far. So it was good during the course of the summer that we did address some of the problematic areas, but we didn't address all of the problematic areas. So this is why certain Manchester United fans believe that we should stick with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, give him at least a couple more windows, to see who else, of course, he can recommend to the football club, because you can still quite frankly say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United squad, because obviously analysing the majority of this team, it isn't Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. The majority of this team is actually Jose Mourinho's, because taking into account Jose Mourinho did recommend 11 players into the football club, and obviously the vast majority of them are still here now that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, of course, is inheriting. But like I mentioned on my recent videos, and that I think in the next 3 to 4 windows, our recruitment, does need to improve, because I mentioned for several years that our recruitment has been very, very poor. I think also, basically the depth in the squad is not good enough. And like I mentioned, based on our poor recruitment, I did say the vast majority of the blame does stem from the board, because like I mentioned, the board didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough during the summer. Obviously, the board, like I mentioned anyway, have been a liability for several years. But yeah, there's a few Man United fans demanding, for our current board to go. They actually want us to demand a new board in. But I think the board anyway do need to assure structural changes at the football club. But I think the areas Man United need to strengthen up, we definitely need a couple of midfielders, because we seem to be missing that creative impetus in midfield. I think we definitely need a striker, someone that can assure us goals, and someone that can be more effective in the box. But yeah, we definitely need a goal scorer, because we haven't been scoring enough goals this season. Like I mentioned, that's been one of the problems at Man United. We don't seem to have that clinical element. You can pinpoint certain games out this season where we've created a lot of chances, but we just haven't been clinical enough in front of a goal. But yeah, definitely, we do need a striker. We do need to recruit a replacement for Romelu Lukaku, because I did initially say, we do look very, very exposed in that attacking line, following the dismissal of Romelu Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez. Obviously, we had quite a lot of injuries as well, so obviously in that aspect, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has had to make alterations in the squad. But yeah, talking about James Maddison, I think he would be the right solution for Manchester United. And like I said, we was linked with him during the course of the summer. I think we was tentatively linked to him in that. If we are to go in for him in January or next summer, it probably will cost the club a substantial amount. Probably we'll have to pay in the excess of around £60 million for James Maddison, maybe even more. Don't forget, Leicester have lost quite a few of their imperative players in recent years. They lost Harry Maguire to us, in the summer. Obviously Leicester did generate £80 million from his departure. They lost Raheem Mahrez, last summer to Man City. They lost Danny Drinkwater and N'Golo Kante. So in recent years, Leicester have lost quite a few of their imperative players. James Maddison, of course, is proven now in the Premier League. He's now into his second season with Leicester, is James Maddison, because obviously last season was his debut season in the Premier League. And last season, I think he was involved in 14 goals. He also did create more chances than any other player in the Premier League last season. So his stats, were very, very impressive, and he has still got 4 years left on his current contract with Leicester. Leicester did pay around £20 million for him last summer from Norwich, but he is predominantly an attacking midfielder. He can also play out on the left. Brendan Rodgers has played him on the left, quite a few times. But, I'd like him at Manchester United because, I think he would address our midfield fantastically well. We've probably seen him as an adequate replacement for Paul Pogba, because I still believe, Paul Pogba is one of the players that is probably, going to leave Manchester United in January or next summer. But I do like James Maddison a lot. I think it also mentioned that a few other teams are in for him as well, Spurs, Man City and Liverpool. But I think when he was a youngster at Coventry, there was quite a few teams, that were tracking James Maddison. But he is only 22 years of age, so he has still got a lot of development in him. And plus he's British, and I think Solskjaer did make it clear that, he's keen on continuing the policy of recruiting young British players, like he did do, earlier on in the summer. But yeah, so we'll probably, look to sign him in January or next summer, James Maddison. But yeah, there is a lot of players on our agenda, and I do believe the players we was in for during the summer who we didn't manage to get, I think it's more than likely we'll reignite our interest in some of them in January. Maybe we'll leave some until next summer. Obviously, I think, a lot of players, during the course of the summer had a lot of element of concerns about coming to Manchester United. And I think one of the main factor reasons why this occurred is because obviously, we failed to qualify for the Champions League. And obviously, when you're not in a Champions League football, obviously, it is going to be hard to attract players to the elite level. But yeah, so I think Solskjaer probably, will still be at the football club, by January. And I think the football club anywhere have assured, that Solskjaer, will be giving money to spend in January. Obviously, despite our disastrous start to the season, obviously Ed Woodward Ed Woodward has insisted that he's, still backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer 100%. This is what Ed Woodward has said. This is what, Ed Woodward has said and that. And I think Solskjaer's compatible to Ed Woodward in that aspect, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, still believes, he's the right manager for Manchester United. And he's never felt, that the job is too big for him. But yeah, Solskjaer has got the same perception as Ed Woodward. But like I mentioned, we are enjoying our worst start to a Premier League season for 3 decades. So far this season, we've only won 2 games out of our first 9. So I think we've won 2, we've drawn 4 and we've lost 3. So in that aspect, we've only registered 10 points from, a possible 27. And we know that's nowhere near good enough, to our standards. We are sitting 13th in the league at the moment. There's still plenty of time to turn things around. We are sitting just 2 points above relegation, so you can quite frankly say at this present time, Man United are facing them relegation battle, and certain Man United fans, do fear, if we do keep Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for the remainder of this season, for the remainder of this season, he could end up, actually, getting the club relegated. But like I mentioned, I don't think that will happen because, there's too much money into the football club. Obviously, where the club is massive, and, we haven't been relegated since 1974, which is obviously over 40-odd years ago now. And a lot of people this season, including me, obviously, have been criticising Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tactics, because I do admit for the majority of this season, we have been tactically inept. But taking into account, I thought Solskjaer yesterday, got his tactics, spot on. So it was good that we showed, some tactical, flexibility in that. Solskjaer obviously, went with 3 at the back. Obviously, we do know mainly so far this season, Solskjaer's mainly he's stuck with the same formation. He's been mainly, going with the 4-2-3-1 formation. And obviously, we know that the 4-2-3-1 formation, hasn't been working with Manchester United. But Solskjaer did get it spot on against Liverpool. And I thought it was a good point. I was disappointed that we didn't hang on and, obviously, get all 3 points. But taking into account, Liverpool are strides ahead of us at the moment. Like I mentioned, they did good recruitment and that. Jurgen Klopp's done a really, really good job. And, we are actually actually the first team this season, to get many points off Liverpool and that. And it was good that we stopped Liverpool from, winning 18 on the bounce in the Premier League. And I thought there was some good individual performances, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. So hopefully that result now, against Liverpool, this can build a platform for Manchester United, and now hopefully, things, can be turned around at the football club. Regarding the draw against Liverpool yesterday, it still doesn't change my perception, regarding Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I still feel as though, that he's not the right man for Manchester United. I don't think he's the right man to elevate this club forward, because, I have got element of concerns about him. I just don't think, Solskjaer has got any intuition on how to manage a big club like Manchester United. Like I mentioned, he hasn't really got that managerial experience, and I just don't think his pedigree is, good enough. Obviously, before he came to Manchester United, obviously, he served a couple of years with Mould, did Solskjaer. Obviously, I don't know if he had a couple of years, but he was there. He won a couple of Norwegian titles with Mould. Obviously, before he was at Mould, he had a really, really short tenure with Cardiff. He actually began his managerial career with Cardiff, and obviously, he only managed them for around 30 games. He actually, ended up, getting Cardiff relegated. So this is why, obviously, he was sacked by Cardiff. But I'll still say Solskjaer is under serious pressure at the football club, because obviously, we do need to start winning games. Because, this season, in every game we have scored in, we've only scored one goal, prior to the Chelsea game, because obviously, we beat Chelsea 4-0 on the opening day of the Premier League season. But basically, everything needs to improve with the football club. We need to create more chances. We need to start scoring more goals. I still think defensively, we need to improve. The midfield, and that needs to improve. Also, our home form needs to improve, because our home form has been very, very poor. We need to start winning away from home, because, we haven't won away from home since the PSG game last season, when we did produce that miraculous comeback. That's obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's most iconic moment as manager. And taking into account, I think, Solskjaer got his tactics spot on yesterday, and that was the first. I thought that was the first time he tactically got it right, since that memorable win against PSG. I think it is 11 away games now that Solskjaer has had without a win at Manchester United. Everything basically, needs to improve with the football club. But I did say, due to our inconsistency, everyone, needs to take the blame. Some of the blame does stem from Solskjaer. Obviously, a lot of the blame does stem from a lot of the players, because a lot of them, have been underperforming this season. So a lot of the players do need a reality check. They need to start showing more heart and passion. I think we're definitely lacking leadership in the team. Some of the blame also, does stem from Ed Woodward. But I also said, that the vast majority of the blame does stem from the board. But these certain aspects of me, though, that do credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, like I do keep mentioning. He has got a lot of trust with in his young upcoming players, because he has given, the vast majority of our young upcoming players, their chances this season. So I do credit him in that aspect. Obviously, like I mentioned, I don't think all the young upcoming players are going to become a success at Manchester United. I have got some element of concerns about certain young upcoming players. Obviously, reports reflected out not too long ago saying that, we was considering, loaning, Gomez, Chong and, Jimmy Garner out in January, because maybe they're not good enough to represent Man United. Maybe they're not getting them opportunities that they are demanding. Maybe, if they get put out on loan, it will, obviously gain them more experience in that. But yeah, I've got some element of concerns about, certain young upcoming players. But, they deserve to be given time, because a lot of them are developing and trying to improve. But I can assure that Mason Greenwood will become a success at the football club. I can also assure that Alex Tuanzebe, will become a success at the football club. Don't forget, Tuanzebe was in line to start yesterday against Liverpool, but I think just before kick-off, he sustained a hip injury. So obviously, Rojo had obviously taken his place in the team. But I've been impressed, with Tuanzebe and Mason Greenwood in the games they've played in this season. Mason Greenwood obviously has not yet started a game from the start in the Premier League. I think so far this season he has made 6 substitute appearances as Mason Greenwood. He's only 18 years of age, is Mason Greenwood, take that into account. He only turned 18 years of age at the beginning of this month. And I think, like I mentioned, it's hard to leave Mason Greenwood out of the team, if he does keep the consistency up, and obviously, if he does keep scoring. But for me, he's not a liability at all. I think he's very reliable, and by the time he's 23, 24, I think he can be a world-class centre forward and that. And I've obviously, got the same thoughts about Alex Tuanzebe. But, we've got quite a few, attackers that can play in that number 9. You've got Mason Greenwood that has played in that number 9, I think, this season. Obviously he's played on the right a few times. You've got Rashford that can fulfill that number 9, don't forget. For me, I don't think Rashford's a number 9. He's probably better, when he's playing out on the flank. I had a different perception last season. I thought, he looked much better centrally. But obviously, as it got confirmed at the start of this season, that actually, Anthony Martial has been given that number 9. Obviously, it's good news as well, because Martial has just recovered from injury. And, Martial, he had been out with a thigh injury. He hadn't played since the 2-1 defeat to Crystal Palace. Obviously, it was good to see him come off the bench yesterday. I think you could take that into account. That's only the mistake Ole Gunnar Solskjaer made, was obviously maybe not starting Martial or, bringing him on too late. But prior to that, he did get everything, else right and that. And, if Solskjaer can, stick with these, different elements, if he can, keep, like doing different elements and that, maybe his tenure at Manchester United, could turn him around. Well, I'm hopeful anyway. But Martial, like I mentioned, he enjoyed a good start to this season. Obviously, before he had sustained that injury. I know Martial predominantly plays out wide on the left, but he's more effective in that central position. Still only 23 years of age. Martial now is into his 5th season at the club. He has scored 50 goals to Man United as Martial. In the 4 years he's been at the football club. I think he's made around 177 appearances. But he has been here since the Louis van Gaal Pereira. But a lot of things have improved about his game. A lot of things have improved. He's getting more than runs in behind. He seems to have that finishing aspect, which is obviously very, very good. But my perception on Marcus Rashford is, I thought he had a decent game yesterday against Liverpool, which was really, really good to see, because analysing Rashford this season, he's actually been way below par. He hasn't performed to the standards, as we all expected and that. And, but it was good to see him score yesterday, Rashford. Obviously it was his first goal, I think, since the opening day against Chelsea and that. And, we have seen Rashford his best as a Man United player. So far, he has spent the entirety of his career with the football club. He's been a United player since the age of 7. He's been in the senior squad with us since 2016, and he was fantastic when he first broke into the senior squad there as Rashford. But yeah, he still needs to be given more time at the football club. Don't forget, he was out with an injury, not too long ago. Yeah, and I've also been impressed with McTominay this season, as I do keep saying, and I am compatible in that aspect, because I've got the same thoughts about McTominay and, Fred. I don't know if they're both the long-term solutions for Manchester United. Hopefully they can keep the consistency up, because I think Fred's had a good couple of games this season. He hasn't performed to the same sort of level as how McTominay's performed, because I think McTominay, of what I can recall, has only had one bad game this season. But McTominay has been a first team regular this season, and he's deserved to keep his place in the team. I think he's play between the lines well. I think he's showed a lot of mobility, which is also very, very good. And I've got the same thoughts about Fred. I do believe the football club did overpay for Fred. We paid just under £50 million for him last summer from Shakhtar Donetsk. But for me, I know a lot of people have got element of concerns about Fred, but in my opinion, I do believe we need to give him more time at the football club, because he's only been here, since last summer. So I do take that into account. Andres Pereira. Now, I thought it was impressive yesterday against Liverpool. I thought our front three was impressive, Rashford, James and, Pereira. I think they all combined very, very well together. Pereira's had a good couple of games this season. I'd still give him more time at the club. He has played quite a few times on the right-hand side this season. But yeah, very, very impressive yesterday. He returned to the club earlier on in the summer, because he was obviously on loan, with in Spain with Granada and Valencia. So that was good, because obviously that gained him more experience. Yeah, very, very impressed with him and that. like I mentioned, Diego Dalot, he's another one of the youngsters. He's actually, sustained quite a few injuries this season. As Diego Dalot, he wasn't too long ago. He was out with a groin problem. Was Diego Dalot again? Same thoughts of Dalot of what has got a Fred. We should give him more time at the club. Dalot's only been at the football club since last summer. Yeah, and I also credit Solskjaer because to be fair, he did get rid of a lot of the deadwood. During the course of the summer, he did get rid of a lot of the deadwood. So a lot of players have obviously left. Since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. Like I mentioned, obviously Italy has been a very popular destination for the vast majority of our players that have left this summer. It has been a very, very popular destination, but I still believe there is more problematic players at the football club that do need to be moved on in January or next summer, without a shadow of a doubt. Because I still think there's players here that are no longer, good enough to represent the football club. That are no longer, good enough to represent the football club and that. I want things to turn around at Manchester United because, I want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure, to become successful in that. And, I know Solskjaer's enjoyed a difficult, 7.5 months with Manchester United. And Solskjaer overall has been at the football club, for around 10 months or something like that. So he has been at the football club just under a year. And we know that it's obviously all gone wrong, since he had got the job permanently. Don't forget, Solskjaer is on a 3-year contract with Manchester United. But, reflecting back when Solskjaer was the interim manager, he did really, really well. The results were good, the performances were good. He got the best out of these group of players, and he exceeded expectations in that 3-month period, and he won 14 out of 19 in total. But he did enough, to get the job permanently. And, I've got different perceptions now of Solskjaer, than what I had, back when he was the interim manager. Because, when he was the interim manager, I thought he was the right man, to, elevate Manchester United forward. But we know it's all gone wrong, since he has got the job permanently and that. The board definitely, won't stick with Solskjaer. I think they'll maybe give him the time that he does want, but I just don't think he'll succeed at the football club. But they'll probably, will give him the time that he does want, I should presume. Even though there was reports the other week saying if we fail to beat Norwich, obviously at the end of this month, that could obviously assure, I think it did assure Solskjaer will be sacked, or, it could put his job in serious jeopardy. Obviously, it's been revealed how much we'll probably have to pay anywhere to probably sack Solskjaer. I think we'll only have to pay around 7 million in compensation, like I mentioned, which is around half than what we paid to get rid of Jose Mourinho, because obviously we paid around £20 million, or was it 19 or something like that, to get rid of Jose Mourinho. I still believe, though, there is the vast majority of Manchester United fans, demanding him out at the football club. And I think, the Man United have, made quite a lot of mistakes over the years. I think one of the mistakes was definitely, giving Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the job. We shouldn't ever give him the job. I do feel sorry for him as well, because I think, Man United have put him in a very, very difficult position. But he was a great player for Manchester United, and in that aspect, he has got that proven pedigree as a player, as Solskjaer. But, he just hasn't really got that, pedigree as a manager, I am afraid to say. But, I still do love him a lot. But, there's certain Man United fans saying we should give him at least a couple of more windows. Obviously, there's some former Man United players we should saying that, we should still give him a couple of more windows, because a lot of people believe us getting rid of Solskjaer, at this present time or just before Christmas, wouldn't solve a lot of problems at the football club. But, you can't just pinpoint all the blame on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, like I did mention. Solskjaer obviously is our fourth manager. He's our fourth permanent manager, since the Alex Ferguson era. We've already sacked 3 managers already. Obviously we sacked David Moyes after he served 10 months at Man United. He's actually had the shortest tenure with the football club since the Ferguson era. Obviously we sacked Van Gaal after just a year, I think, despite that won the FA Cup back under the Louis Van Gaal era. Obviously we sacked Jose Mourinho after he had a 2.5 year tenure at the football club. He was actually the longest serving manager, we had, since the Ferguson era. Mourinho, like I mentioned, spent a substantial amount. He spent just under £400 million at Man United. But like I mentioned, a lot of money has been invested into the football club over the years. I think it's around £800 million, that has been spent, since the Alex Ferguson era. And that is just under £1 billion that has been spent at Manchester United. But like I mentioned, it's not always about, spending big on players, and, it's not always about getting them Galactico players, because it doesn't always guarantee you success. And this is why I did indicate out at the start of the summer that we should maybe orchestrate on, being sensible over our current recruitment. This is why, I basically, did say it. But, Solskjaer, is aware, of the expectations, he has to exceed at Manchester United, basically. And like I mentioned at the end of last season, I think I also mentioned it at the start of this season, that, our expectations this season will be to finish in that top four. So in that aspect, obviously, we can't get back into the Champions League, because, we've been struggling, to get into the Champions League in the last, 3-4 years or so. I think we've actually failed to qualify for the Champions League 3 times out of the 6 seasons, since the Alex Ferguson era. Obviously, I've already disregarded the top four, even though it is still early on in the season. I've actually, disregarded the top four. Like I mentioned, I think, predicting it now, I think we could probably maybe finish 7th or 8th this season. Solskjaer came out not too long ago, and he says if we are to finish out of the top 6 this season, that could obviously, sack him from the football club. But we need, either way, we need European football. I think overall we've only failed to secure European football once since 1990, which is obviously around 20 odd years ago now. It's actually that's nearly 30 years ago, should I say. And I think that's what actually came under the David Moyes era, when we did fail to secure European football. I think the lowest we've finished is actually, 7th, and that was back under the David Moyes era. Don't forget, we actually finished 6th last season. But taking into account, I haven't really seen much improvements this season than what I saw last season, to be quite honest with you. But, I said at the start of this season anyway, we didn't expect, for us to mount any kind of title challenge up this season. Even with the 3 signings we brought in, I still didn't expect us to mount any kind of title challenge up, or, even win the league. But, I did expect us, to be much more commanding position, than winning now. Like I mentioned, reflecting on the status and, the potential of this football club, and with the history of this football club, because we are the most successful team in England historically, we should be, in much more commanding position, than winning now. But obviously, where we're not on that, and that's obviously, very, very disappointing. But, like I mentioned, I think we need at least 5 to 6, maybe even 7, more signings, if we are to be back to being a competitive elite level football club, and if we are, of course, to be back up there, challenging for major honours. But, we'll see, what we, of course, can do in January. We'll see what we can do in January in that. And Solskjaer also, recently came out and defended the club's structure. He did defend the club's structure. So what he means is, he's actually happy with the club's current structure. Solskjaer's perception is that he feels as though that we don't need a new director of football, because don't forget, for the majority of the summer, we was in search for a new director of football. Obviously, you could arguably say if we'd have got the director of football in during the summer, then maybe in that aspect, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, would have been back to more. And during the summer, there was quite a few former Man United players linked with the role. Obviously, we do know there was recent speculation about Edwin van der Sar, don't forget. And I did say, if we were to get a director of football in, and I do think anyway, that's one of the structural changes we do need at the football club. Structural changes in that we need at the club. But I said it would be reliable to... We need someone to come in, who would be reliable to oversee our transfer business. Someone who, who's got the experience, someone who knows the traditions of the club. And Edwin van der Sar, to be fair, would be the right candidate, because obviously he's a former Man United goalkeeper. Obviously, he's now got the experience because he's been at Ajax around 4 years. Obviously, he's chief executive at Ajax, and I think Man United are obviously satisfied, with the work he's obviously done at Ajax. But yeah, if we are to get one in, I think Edwin van der Sar, would be the right candidate, without shadow of a doubt. Like I updated you the other day, there was recent reports coming out saying that Solskjaer, was considering resigning as Manchester United manager. Obviously, if this disastrous run of form does continue to persist. So obviously, if he was to resign, obviously, that would prevent him from getting the sack. I can't see him resigning, to be quite honest with you. Obviously, taking into account that Rafa Benitez resigned as Newcastle manager, I think back in June, which was obviously early in the summer. So it can obviously happen. But Solskjaer either way, he's, in my opinion, he's not going to last Manchester United. And this is why obviously, there has been a list of managers on our agenda, who could replace him at the football club. Obviously, we do know that for a number of weeks now, there has been a lot of speculation about, Max Allegri, coming to take the mantle on at Manchester United. He did say he's actually interested in coming into the job. Obviously, he demanded quite a few things. Did Max Allegri? He said if he was to get appointed as Man United's new boss, he'd want to bring Emre Can and Mario Mandzukic with him. He also said, he wanted to recommend Patrice Evra as one of his coaching staff. Don't forget, Patrice Evra is a former Manchester United player. And reportedly, he has been learning English, quite recently, in preparation for his potential move. Max Allegri's got that managerial experience. I don't know if he would be good enough for the Premier League because obviously, he hasn't. It's a different sort of, era for him in the Premier League, and that, if he was to come in, that is, he's never managed in the Premier League. Obviously, he's actually spent the entirety of his managerial career so far in Italy. He also spent the entirety of his playing career in Italy. He's around 52, 53, so he's in his early 50s. He's been managing overall for just over 16 years because he began his managerial career in 2003, did Max Allegri. But he hasn't been managerless for long. He only stepped down as Juventus manager at the end of last season, did Max Allegri. But he is the club's top priority. Of course, if we were to recommend him in, he would be our fifth permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era. But I don't think it'll happen anyway because I think the club, at this present time especially, will stick with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We know, and obviously now in this generation, that, managers, don't get the time, that they would like. But, maybe he does need a bit more time at the football club. Yeah. And, we have got still quite a few players out with injury, like I mentioned. We've got Partizan Belgrade coming up, by the way, on Thursday in the Europa League. Obviously, it's our third game in the Europa League because obviously, we've already played 2 games so far in the Europa League. We beat FC Astana 1-0. In the first game, then obviously we drew with AZ Alkmaar 0-0 in the second game. So we've only produced 1 goal so far in the Europa League. Obviously, he's going to make probably quite a lot of alterations in the squad against Partizan Belgrade. He'll obviously go more away with the youth. He'll go with some of the experienced players. So in that particular game, Jones will get a chance. Probably Rojo and that, will get their chances. Maybe even Matic, will get his chances in that. But, we have got games coming up thick and fast. But Solskjaer, will provide us with some team news, building up to the game on Thursday. So the preview will be coming up either tomorrow or it will be, the day before the game, and that. But yeah, Paul Pogba, as you all know, has been out with injury. He's missed 6 of the last 8 games for Manchester United. He's missed 6 of the last 8 games, due to this ongoing foot injury. But recent reports have actually indicated out saying that Paul Pogba is closer to recovering from injury. And now, obviously, we know that Paul Pogba's mainly endured a difficult time at Manchester United. He's endured a difficult career with the football club. in comparison to his time when he was at Juventus. Paul Pogba rejoined Man United from Juventus back in 2016. Obviously, we paid £89 million for him. He is our most expensive signing. But Paul Pogba for me wants out of the football club. I think his preference is still a move to Real Madrid. Like it was for the entirety of the summer. We do know there was reports emerging out during the summer that there was also talks about him making a return back to Turin. But I still believe Pogba wants out of the football club. But we do know the difference he can make in that midfield, because we have seen glimpses, of how good, Paul Pogba can be. You do mainly see the best of him, when he is 3'd up. Paul Pogba's actually one of the highest paid players at the football club now on his current contract, because he's on around 290 grand a week. So Paul Pogba's still got 2 years left on his current deal, with an option to extend it by a further year. Like I mentioned, there was a lot of talks the other week saying that Paul Pogba was demanding a substantial 600 grand a week from Manchester United, if he was to extend his contract. 600 grand a week equates to around 30 million a year. Can't see Man United willing to meet his wage demands. I think we had a few negotiations with Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, over the possibility of renewing his contract, and obviously to discuss his future and that at the football club. But Solskjaer still knows how much of an imperative player he is. Solskjaer knows some of this team, anyway, because obviously when he managed the Man United reserve team, when he was younger, he managed them for a couple of years. He watched some of this team, this, day and age, grow and develop. And of course, one of them was Paul Pogba. So Solskjaer did watch, obviously, Paul Pogba developing. And he is still young now, he's only 26 years of age. And, he has still got a lot of years ahead of him. But when he's on form, Pogba, he's like two players in one in that midfield. So maybe he will be back for the game on Thursday. Should be back for Norwich if he isn't back for Thursday, Paul Pogba. Like I mentioned, Nemanja Matic, now he's actually been out with injury. I've just read that up. I didn't even know, Matic was injured. Obviously, we know Matic is no longer a first choice at the football club anywhere. Obviously, Matic has initially lost his place in the team, mainly due to his inconsistency, because I've got a lot of element of concerns about Matic. I think he's one of the players that definitely needs to be moved on, in January or next summer. And he's aging up as well, he's 31, he isn't getting any younger. And I just think, he makes that midfield look totally imbalanced. He is too slow, he's Matic. He can pass the ball well sometimes. And I think, again, Man United overpaid for him. We paid, was it £40 million for him from Chelsea back in 2017. And, now he's into his third season as a Manchester United player. Obviously, he was actually first choice last season there, was Matic. But yeah, I've got a lot of element concerns about him. But at the time, we did sign him anywhere, which was obviously under the Jose Mourinho era. He wasn't our first choice anyway. He was like our third choice signing. And don't forget, his current contract expires at the end of the season. But Man United, I think, do have an option to extend it by a further year. But I said any of our midfield options are much better options than Matic. But yeah, he's one of the problematic players, definitely, at the football club. But he's been out with some kind of injury. He has played in quite a few games this season, though, mainly due to the absence of Paul Pogba. But he has played in quite a few games. Luke Shaw's obviously still out with injury. He should now be close to regaining full fitness, Luke Shaw. He hasn't played since the 2-1 home defeat to Crystal Palace. Luke Shaw's actually a very, very imperative player. And, we are all aware, the difference he can make on that left-hand side, Luke Shaw. I know a lot of people talk about Luke Shaw being injury-prone. And I will admit, Luke Shaw is very, very injury-prone. But, I think prior to that, and prior to his bad spell he had under Mourinho, he's done well for the club. Still a lot of development in him. Won the double player of this season last season, reflecting on his impressive performances. Yeah, so he should now be close. He's obviously been out with a hamstring problem. Fossil Mento's been out of injury for quite some time. He's been out with a knee injury, I think it is. He returned to the club in the summer, did Fossil Mensah, because last season he was on loan with Fulham, where I think he actually sustained this particular injury, but I think he's not far away now from regaining full fitness. Obviously, Eric Bay, of course, he's out with injury. We know that he won't be playing for quite some time. He's out until the end of December, or the new year. With this knee injury, Bay had sustained this injury, throughout pre-season, of course. But yeah, we have got quite a few players out with injury, like I mentioned. But most of them now are closer to regaining full fitness. Like currently I mentioned, David De Gea was initially injured, but he still played in the Liverpool game, which was very, very good news. I didn't think he would have done, to be quite honest with you. There was a lot of doubts before the game. Like I mentioned, he had a leg injury. He had sustained the leg injury, whilst he was on international duty with Spain. But at the first, obviously, the extent of the injury was unknown. But then it got revealed that the injury wasn't as severe as we first feared and that. So he didn't miss his first Premier League game in almost 7 years, as we all presumed. That he would have done. Yeah, Jones has obviously been out of injury as well. I don't know what's happened with him. He's missed quite a few games as Jones. Obviously, he's not going to get them chances in the league games and that. Same with Rojo. But yeah, we have had quite a lot of injuries there, like Cunha mentioned. Obviously, as well, we've got players on big contracts at the football club. You've got Rashford on 300 grand a week. You've got Martial on 200 grand a week. You've got Pogba on 290 grand a week, like I mentioned. David De Gea is obviously now on 375 grand a week. David De Gea is the highest paid goalkeeper in the world. Harry Maguire is on around 200 odd grand a week. So yeah, we have we have got players on big contracts at the football club. But yeah, now Manchester United, of course, do need to start winning games. Like I mentioned, though, regardless of who our manager is, we're never going to be the team that we was under Ferguson. Never going to be the team that was under Ferguson. Solskjaer definitely can't invoke Ferguson's legacy to save him at Manchester United. Solskjaer he actually did say it, should I say, I think at the beginning of the summer that he was obviously following Alex Ferguson's philosophy, because Ferguson did transform Ole Gunnar Solskjaer into a winner. But, obviously, we had 20 odd years of success under Ferguson. Obviously, the vast majority of our silverware, obviously, we won came under the Ferguson era, won around 38 major honours under Alex Ferguson. Obviously, like I mentioned, Ferguson did develop a lot of young players. He did buy players. He bossed the transfer markets in that, but he did develop a lot of young players. He controlled the transfer policies, which was really, really good. He also controlled a lot of the contracts in that. But, Ferguson didn't settle in straight away, like I said. So this is why maybe some people are saying we should give Solskjaer time. Because Ferguson, don't forget, didn't win out in his first 4 years at the football club. He didn't win out in his first 4 years when we recommended him in from Aberdeen back in, 1984, was it now? But, he got given the time, and it was actually after that 4 years, he was one game away from getting the sack, but he didn't. And then look what he went and produced, accomplished, basically. It was absolutely magnificent. We haven't won the Premier League since 2013, so we haven't won it, for nearly 7 years. I think at some point, we will win it again. Like recently, Solskjaer, I liked what Solskjaer did in that aspect as well, having a go at Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp, saying it won't take Man United, 30 years, to win another Premier League title. But we're nearly gone 7 years now without winning the Premier League. But at some point we will win it again. But I think our aspirations in the next couple of seasons, if I'm going to be quite honest with you, we'll be that top four. But like I mentioned, we've got to get a midfielder in. We need to recruit a replacement for Ander Herrera and probably perhaps Marion Fellaini. I think it was a mistake from the football club, to be quite honest with you, letting Ander Herrera go, because you could arguably say that Ander Herrera was one of our best players since the Alex Ferguson era. I thought he had 3.5, 4 good years out of the 5 years he was at Man United. He did make a big difference in that midfield, but it infuriated me more that we let Herrera go on a free transfer. The club obviously, we let his contract run down. I'm happy that Fellaini left. You know, Fellaini did serve 6 years at Man United. You know, he left for China back in January. Again, I thought we overpaid for Fellaini. You know, Moyes recommended him in at the time. We paid just over £27 million for him. He had the odd good game here and there, but obviously was mainly inconsistent. I think Fellaini and Matic are compatible anywhere, you know, in terms of their play. You know, they're both very, very slow, and they're just both not good players. That's my perception on that. With Lukaku, obviously, you know, like I mentioned, he endured 2 seasons at Manchester United. Lukaku, obviously, you know, he was really, really good in his first season. I should say he was exceptional in his first season, and that, but it didn't really replicate that in his second season. But like I mentioned anyway, you know, Lukaku had to leave the football club because he initially lost his place in the team because Solskjaer's preference was Rashford. This is why, obviously, you know, he had to go. I think he's now firing in all cylinders. He's firing in all cylinders now for Inter Milan. He's doing really, really well. I'm happy with the money we generated from Lukaku's departure. We got 70-odd million for him, so we basically recouped the money that we did pay for him from Everton a couple of years ago. And I'm also, you know, I'm happy that he went, you know, to be quite honest with you, because he lost his place in the team. I'm also happy that Sanchez left, you know, because he endured the difficult 18 months with Man United. Even though Sanchez is on loan with Inter Milan, you know, we are still paying the vast majority of his wages, so take that into account. I still think we're paying Sanchez around 300 grand a week. Yeah. But, you know, looking at it, I've been very, very impressed with our signings. You know, they've enjoyed fantastic starts to their Man United careers. Daniel James has been fantastic. He's been superb. Harry Maguire's been superb. You know, Lindelof and him in our backline have complemented each other really, really well. And Wan-Bissaka's also done well. A lot of Man United fans believe he's been one of our most consistent signings. He's now back now. He played against Liverpool because he missed the 2 previous games before Liverpool with illness. He had currently been out with tonsillitis, as you all know. Yeah. So Solskjaer, you know, credit him. You know, he tactically got it right yesterday. So if he can, obviously, you know, stick with this formation or maybe go with a 4-3-3, then maybe things will turn them around at Manchester United. But, you know, we showed a tactical flexibility against Liverpool, which I was very, very happy about because for most of this season, Solskjaer has been getting his tactic drawn. He's been making them on team selections, but I credit him for what he did yesterday. But anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel if you do consider subscribe as always. And I just wanted to give you the news, you know, about James Maddison and all the rest of the other news. And I will be back with more live videos tomorrow, so take care, God bless, see you all again very, very soon.